Good morning, students. So today we will be taking about the force and pressure. So first, what is a force? So the force, we can define the force as a push or a pull. So the force is an interaction phenomena. So we can define the force as a push or a pull. So what is this push or a pull? How we can understand this push or pull? So if we are doing something, if I am pulling a boy, actually it is a pull. It is a force. I am exerting a force on that boy. Or if I am pushing him, I am exerting a force. So if I am taking something, if I am moving something, if I am working, if I am walking, jogging, everything there is some push or a pull. So we can define a force as a push or a pull. Okay. So it is an interaction phenomena. So if I am doing some force means I will be there. That means I am exerting force and I am exerting on another object, on another body. Okay. So two bodies should be there. So if we are exerting a force on something means that something should be there and we are also there. Okay. So it is an interaction phenomena. It is defined as a push or a pull. Then next one is the force is having magnitude and direction. What does that mean? What does that mean? So a force having magnitude and direction means if I am exerting some force, that means usually the SI unit of force is Newton. So I can exert 10 Newton force or 50 Newton force. So that is magnitude. How much force I am exerting. So that is magnitude. So a force depends always on the magnitude and the direction is also. I can exert on this direction or I can exert on opposite direction. So the direction is also matters. So for a force, it is having magnitude and direction. Okay, understood. So that means if I am pushing something, if two boys are there, if I am pushing that two boys, that me and another boy is pushing one almara. So we can push in such a way that we can push in same direction. So the force will be in one direction and it will be easily moving. But if both the boys are pushing opposite direction, and it will be like this, he is exerting one force and he is exerting force. So it will be the total force will be the resultant force. Understood? So if both the forces are acting on one direction means the total force will be work done or the total force will be in that direction. But if two forces are in opposite direction means it will be cancelling each other. So the net force or the total force, which side the movement will take place, which side is acting the maximum force, that side only the movement takes place, and it will be less. Okay, because you can imagine if I am pushing something, tug of war, what is happening there? Because opposite sides, both sides are pushing or pulling opposite direction. So the net resultant force will be less. So what are the uses of this force? What are the effect of this force? So it can be move a stationary object. That means if an object is at, just imagine, this one is at rest. If I am pushing this one, so it is getting moved. And it can stop a moving object. Example, a footballer a goalie used to do what? He will be stopping the ball which is coming to him. So he is stopping a moving object by force. By the action of force, he is stopping a moving object. Then change the speed. What is change the speed? It's cycling, or if a ball is coming slowly, cricketer, the bowler used to throw, then the batsman used to bat. So in that case, both the direction and speed is changing. Speed means it will be coming slowly, then after hitting the bat, then it will be changing the speed, the direction also. The cricketer used to change the direction. So change the shape and size. So we know, means if I am applying some force on a chalk or something, then it will be getting broken. Or if I am pulling the spring, what happens? It is changing the shape. The spring is actually like small, then or rubber band. I am pulling it means it will be changing the shape or size also. So force means it's a push or a pull. The force can just listen to these sentences. If the two forces applied to an object act on the same direction, then the resultant force acting on the object is equal to the sum of two forces. That means if two persons are pushing or pulling in the same direction, the resultant force would be sum of that two individual forces. Second case, if the two forces applied to an object act in different direction, the net force acting on the object is equal to the difference between the two forces. That means if two boys are pushing opposite like this, then that two forces, the difference, that means subtraction of that two forces will be the resultant force. It is not the addition, it will be decreasing. The resultant force or the total force will be decreasing. If the two forces applied to an object are equal in direction and magnitude and opposite in direction, then net force acting on the object is zero. That means if two forces, that means two individuals are pushing opposite, then the total force will be zero. That is, how much force acting on this side will be opposite of this one, and there will be no net force. Okay, so these are the important things. So then next one is about forces are divided into two types: contact force and non-contact force. Then in contact force we have mainly two forces, that is muscular force and frictional force. So these are the two contact forces. Muscular force means what? I am using my muscular energy by doing some muscular force, for taking an object, for taking this book. For taking this book I am using the muscular force. Okay, so it includes all the activity that we are doing, walking, taking something, pulling, pushing, everything. Then frictional force. What is this frictional force? Frictional force is actually contact force. We will be thinking that frictional force is non-contact because we cannot observe that frictional force. Then what is this frictional force? If I am throwing something in the ground, if I am throwing a ball, after some time it will be stopping. Why? Because of two reasons: because of gravitational force and frictional force. So this frictional force is contacting. It needs to be contact. We are standing, vehicle is moving, everything is why? Because due to this friction. So frictional force is a contact force. Okay. Then next one is magnetic force. What is magnetic force? The force which is acting by the magnet. The magnet will be acting a force on iron substance or metals or the magnetic property substance or magnets. That means if a strong magnet came closer to another magnet or magnetic substance, then it will be getting attracted or deflected. So that property is for the magnet. So that force is non-contact force. Then electrostatic force. Electrostatic force is another type of force which can be obtained by the charged bodies. So if I am charging something, so example comb. If you are combing our hair for so much time, the comb will be getting charged. Then if this comb is bring to a small paper, then it will be getting attracted. Okay, so this is an example for electrostatic force. It is due to the charges, electrostatic charges, only the force. It is a non-contact force. Then next one is gravitational force. If I am throwing something upwards, it is coming down. Why? Because due to this gravity. So this gravity is a non-contact force. It is acting towards the center of the earth. Okay.